Well, I came on here just to tell you all a little bit more about how we're preparing for our Christmas in July events. And for this part of the video, do want to tell you I decided that even if I have to wait until fall time, which is another time when people start buying early for Christmas in December, I went ahead and bought these pieces of walnut at Woodcraft the other day so I could be making some more of a certain type of Santa out of them and sort of save the wood from which to do it. I took a whiteout pen and used a pattern to draw the little blanks on here because this is the way we're going to cut them out, and along those lines as well. You've probably seen me do this before on some videos, but just to show you all how I do it every year, I like to get all kinds of breeds of wood together. We're going to wait till we get a chance to patternize the side so we'll know where to saw in the lines for the boots before we go much further. But I'm going to go ahead and get these cut out. Making it so we have a little bright light come shine in our path. Well, I say that this is how I've come along on these. We'll kind of mention that we start out just cutting them out like this, and then there's going to come a time when we're going to trace something on the side that's going to measure out the place where we're going to do the cutting out to make the boots down below. That's going to be a three-dimensional part. I might kind of get back into some of this and show you all another step as to how we do a certain other blank soon as I can find the way to trace it out here. Well, it happened that a moment ago I lost my pattern piece for the ones like these that I was cutting out the blanks for a while ago. I will make a new one as soon as I can get a chance. It's going to be a little bit of a long ways to go though. So as for now, I'm going to do my best to try to make out the shape for this other one here. And this one doesn't have as much dimension, so it'll be kind of a little bit easier to make out how we're going to do it. And so this is where it is going to come along to make the little pattern to go right into place. And so we've we'll do it on both sides of this block here so that there's just a little more extra room to work around. And we got little ways to go about this to make it straighter as it is supposed to be. And then we'll sort of make the stop at the top in the place where it needs to go. And so as for this, we'll kind of make a line right here, make a line right here, just to determine how tall this piece is supposed to get. And this is how we've made it out here. Of course, we're going to work from both sides of this piece of wood and make it so it's going to be in the place where the pattern would say that it ought to be. And I've got this right here. I can trace onto that later, but we're gonna, and I tell you, I keep laying things down and losing them. Just lost the top to this thing and need to find it and put it back on before this whiteout pin dries out. Oh, I tell you, but we'll take care of that. Let's go back to the saw now. And I tell you now too, never mind about the whiteout pin. We've gotten that matter taken care of. I found the top and put it back on as soon as I brought the video to a stop. But here's a little step we're going to take. We're going to cut these little rectangles out so we can draw the pattern onto this. And that is how we've made these two blanks here. We'll sometime, maybe if we can think about it, even if it has to be the next thing on here, probably demonstrate how we will whiteout pin the pattern onto those. Well, now comes the point where with this little piece of pattern here, we can put it face down on the walnut wood and kind of trace it out from there with the whiteout pin. And we use it on walnut because walnut is such a dark brown wood that we kind of need a little something white to kind of make it show on the dark wood. And there's going to be some more to see. You know, it's kind of like how I use this on black denim and black felt, just to kind of make it so the pattern is going to come out whenever I make it for the stuffed animals that you see me make. So we got one more to go. We shall work on this one as well. See how good out we get this one to come. I say, the work shall be done on this guy, and we'll see how well he's going to be. And then, as you know, this might be too low a side for it, so of course I'd say it might be a little more difficult to do from this end of the wood, but we'll see if this works any better, because I think one side of the piece of wood just came out a little too short here, and I'm thinking that we're not really getting the whole pattern in. Maybe it needed to be a little bit lower than it was, so we kinda gotta level that out a bit, see how this little sign is going to do. I say in the work is going to drive its way up to us. I say little point on top of the head there, but I tell you, I guess I'd say there's enough room in the back to really make it so it's going to stick up a little taller like it should. So with that little work done there, we got these two. And I might even kind of turn this off for a while just to think over how I'm going to do for what I'm going to do next. So hang in there. Well, I come on to say that, you know, as you see, I kind of spent a little while yesterday making the first parts to this video, but decided to come on here this morning before heading out to work and show you all some little things. And with these little pieces that were kind of left over from cutting out something else, there was certain things about the grain in the wood and the knots that made them so I had to cut them out this way to be able to use them. And then when I came out with the shapes, you see these little faces I carved into them, and I decided these would be a good shape from which to make Bell's nickel. If you all heard the story about Bell's nickel, there's the old German Saint Nick legend about how in folklore that while Saint Nick went around giving out gifts to good children on Christmas, Bell's nickel was Saint Nick's traveling companion who went around with a stick with which to beat bad children. So we're thankful that that kind of stuff doesn't exist in our society today, and that a lot of that stuff's just things of the past, you know. But I tell you, while I'm at it, decided I'd make another addition to the video and probably do a little showing of how we will paint the hem of the coat around these Santas. There's a little place here where I take a little gold paint and we'll add it on here to paint this little hem of the skirt. I tell you, I don't have anywhere to go this afternoon when I get off because I'm coming home to have like a telehealth appointment with my therapist. So that's kind of how this afternoon is going to go. It might not be the best of times right now that I go out in the afternoons to hang out many places, but I've been out at night some to the Starbucks down the street from my house, and even at the one in Nicholasville, Kentucky, the next town over, where I did a lot of hanging out last year in the spring and the summer. There's quite a few employees from there who got to know me very well, appreciated me as a customer, and for that very reason, they sort of like became my friends recently on social media. And some of the ones I wasn't able to add on Facebook, I was able to follow on Instagram and have them follow me back. So I'd say that there's just little ways that social media works among us. And I'd say even in my school tutorials, I learn a lot about it. How, as a staff member or a teacher or a cafeteria worker, janitor, or any of that other stuff, you aren't really supposed to have connections with your students on social media. So that's kind of among the lessons that we learn from taking the tutorials and the assessments and other things. So here we finally got the hymn painted onto this, and I'd say yesterday we just kind of made a lot of mess here on this couch by kind of carving up these little Santas and by having the chips go everywhere. So we kind of gotta take a little better care of things now. And this is just like the few minutes I had to get on here for right now, but can't really do much because about half an hour I have to be getting ready for work, and in an hour have to be heading out on my way. So it's going to be better next year, next fall, or this fall, because it's going to be to the point where I won't have to be at work until half an hour later and be on my own side of town and things like that. So it's going to be easier to get to and from there and tell a lot and share a lot. And while I'm at it, I'll show you all what else I've worked on in places. I got these little sloths that I made out of denim. Of course, they're not a Christmas thing, not a Christmas in July thing either, but just to tell you all a little story, when I showed my pandas on there, I had like a book author, a famous book author, I think. Never heard of her until I started following her from my Facebook business account because I just liked one of her posts. But she commented on the post about the pandas, saying that they were her favorite animal next to sloths, and hearing that sloths were her favorite, it just kind of gave me an ideal and made me think to try to sew some out to show to her. She was my inspiration to do that, and I've always shared that in my posts, kind of had a lot to say about it. So anyway, I will tell you all that the last sock has finally been sewn up and the eyes put on the last gingerbread man I'm going to make for a while. I've kind of also got my initials and the year painted on a couple, got the stripes down the front painted on one, got two completely dry and finished. So it's just kind of like getting to the point where things are just coming along pretty well, I think. I'd like to say more, but it's just kind of a time when I just kind of need to be kind of getting a little bit more settled down for now. Can't exhaust myself too much before I go to work, so thank you all for watching, and goodbye.